What's up, everybody? Ryan Harris here. How's everybody doing? Good. What is today? I'm going to turn my video camera off. I know Brad and Mitch are going to be joining us here soon. It's good to be with you. We'll get started here in just 1 minute once Brad and Mitch jump on. We're going to continue our series. Last week we talked about carousel ads, and I know we had some difficulties. So I want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. If you can, type in the chat window that you can hear us okay. I need to bring up
Hi Ryan, can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Hello everybody, welcome.
Okay, Brad's with us. Is Mitch with us, Brad?
Just
sending out one more quick reminder.
I don't think so.
Okay, I hadn't heard back from him this morning, so. Dave can hear us, Kendall, good, okay. Hopefully throughout this presentation we won't have as much feedback as we did on the last one. Mitch said he's jumping in right now. So let's dive in and let's get started with this presentation. Today we want to talk more about the value of utilizing video-based ad sets versus static image ads or carousel ads or things of that nature. So we want to just make sure that, you know, from a context perspective, that we're putting things in proper context. One of the best things about creating a video ad set, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up some information, actual data from some of our ad sets. I know Mitch is still trying to jump on, so he'll get on with us here in a minute. One of the things that we're finding most intriguing, at least with me, when it comes to video ad sets, is the ability that you have to pay attention to how much depth and width the people that are part of the or looking at your ad sets really bring to light. What do I mean by that? Well, in my opinion, we have, in my opinion, you see oftentimes when you put a static image ad that there's what they call an estimated ad recall as one of the reporting mechanisms on an ad set. And that's kind of an arbitrary number of how long someone statically looked at your image, meaning once they scrolled, they stopped, and they looked at your image, they may have read the context. And that's what they call estimated ad recall, is the amount of time they spent on that specific ad set. But the difficult thing with that in general is you don't necessarily have the ability in that context to really build out long-term relationships based on an initial touch point, meaning they don't really emotionally or sentimentally connect to your brand. And that's really where, in my opinion, I really like to have video-based ad sets that come to life. And I want to show you some ad sets that we're running currently that might give you some insights into that. But Brad, why don't you kick this off as well and share some of your thoughts about video? I know you've been in the video-based advertising sales funnel world for quite some time now. And share with us what you've seen just with some of the clients that you've worked in the past and some of the results that you've seen based on video-based ads.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, one of the biggest takeaways as far as video is concerned is that, and I guess this is kind of a necessary for every type of ad, but more and more I see the importance of pushing out a lot of video content. Some of it's going to stick and some of it's not. And oftentimes it's the stuff that you don't think will stick that won't, or it's something that you think will resonate and it doesn't. And then, so just putting out a lot of content and being able to test quickly is very important. And so, for instance, I was listening to Russell Brunson, for those of you who are familiar with him, and he was saying that he, as far as, so he worked with Anthony DiClemente. He's the biohacker guy, and he said he was starting from nothing, which is probably a lot like a lot of you. Maybe you don't have a huge, gigantic page that you can, call to and speak directly to. So you got to work on building that group and that page and those followers and the awareness. And so Russell, working directly with Anthony, really told him, hey, do this and this and this. And it was like, do a lot of Facebook Live. And even Russell Brunson would tell him to do something and it would fall flat. And then Anthony would try something totally out there and it would resonate. And so it's just a lot of testing and trying and getting a lot of kind of taking a lot of swings at the plate to see what sticks, and then boosting out that content and working from there on the messaging to really, build out a video that can be more evergreen and last a lot longer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. That's great. So let's dive into a video ad set that we've been running with one of our clients just most recently. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different types of advertisements for one specific client. We spent over $1,000 in ads just this last month to really get a good indication of whether or not our ads are working. Now, most times when you're starting and running ads, people think that, on $1,000 ad spend, I should be getting a significant return on investment and have the tendency to shut off ads way too early. We've had that same mindset as well in the past, but I want to just show you what we're doing with this specific ad set that might bring some more value. So you can see we're running different ads. This is all for the same client. We're getting different types of relevance scores based on the ads we're running. So we have some of them that are getting 4 relevant scores, some that are getting 7, and relevant score, just as a reminder, is the relevant score in general just gives you a good indication of how relevant the content is to your potential audience, which, if I'm being transparent, I think it's kind of arbitrary and somewhat ambiguous. It doesn't necessarily give a clear indication of how your ads are performing. It just gives you a better indication of how the potential audience is responding. So I want to go through some of these initial ideas or initial indicators, but then I know we need to go back into, and Mitch, I'll have you go through this portion, go back into the actual creation of the ads through the Creative Hub, and we can walk through how to put together a solid video ad set. One thing that I like to look at when we're analyzing our ad sets, not performance and click, let me change that, is the engagement, video engagement segmentation inside of a video ad set. So hold on, let me get it. Okay. Inside of video engagement, it gives us some pretty good numbers. It shows us the number of impressions. Now, again, I want to show you the difference. Impressions are the number of people or the number of times that your ads were viewed. So it might be cost per impression or the total number of impressions. And then you have the reach, which is the number of people who saw your ad set at least once. It's different from impressions because it's the unique number of people. So you can see here, we spent $472, right around $472. We're getting a 3 cents per video view ad set for a 3-second or more video view ad set. But here's really what I like to pay more attention to is this section of it. First, I like to see, okay, what is the video percentage watched? And just recognize the longer the video, the less percentage you'll actually be watched. So some of these are like a 30, 45, maybe a 90-second video clip, and you're getting 28 to 32% video watch. This one is probably a 2.5 minute. So it's about 13% video view watch. Now, again, going on this side, you'll see inside the key performance indicators that they have some different metrics. They have this one right here, which is a video view watched at 25%. Here's another one, video view watched at 50%. Another one at 75, another one at 95, and then another one at 100. This tells me or gives me indication of how long people are watching the actual video ad set. You can see this video ad set performed a lot better on a $312 ad set. We had over 1,500 people that watched 100% of the actual video ad. So pretty cool stuff. And the reason this is important is because now we have, 10,000 people on a $1,000 ad set that watched at least 75% of the video view. And now we can go back and remarket or retarget these people based on this initial video and throw additional follow-up videos associated with that video ad set. So just want to show you some of the indication. I think another place that you want to pay attention to is performance and clicks. You can see what's happened based on these impressions. You can see what click-through ratios are. Gives you a good idea of how many link clicks inside of Facebook. It also gives you a number of button clicks outside of Facebook. So what happened, where the information said the number of times people click the call to action button on your ad set. So we had 62 people. And depending on your conversion rate on these specific ads, that could be a really good thing, or it might be a pretty low thing, but you're getting about 12 cents in a cost per thousand. Cost per action, right about $1.38 at a cost per click. But then if you talk about button clicks, you're right around, let's just do the math really quick. So 1,000 divided by 60. So you're about $16 per click. Now in that case, with some people, they might say, well, that's relatively high. But if our conversion rate is 50%, 50%, 30 to 50%, then we might have a $30 to $32 lead acquisition cost on a $1,000 price point package, which obviously is a great return on investment. So you just have to understand what your actual cart value is of each of the services that are associated with it, and determine how much you're willing to pay for a click, how much you're willing to pay for a new customer acquisition. Because like I said, in this case, it's anywhere from $35 even up to $100. We're okay with $100 for a lead acquisition cost for this one specific program. We'd like to keep it down lower, obviously, but this gives us a good indication of how they're actually performing, how these ads are performing, and how we can capture even more results from that. So I want to give you the end results so you can see why we create a video ad set on the front end. Mitch, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you great. Okay, so Mitch, if you'll go back through, I'm going to stop sharing and I'll have you take over the screen. And if you'll go back into the Creative Hub and just walk us through the process of how do you create an ad, a video-based ad inside of an ad set, or even just through the Creative Hub portion.
All right. All right, can you see the Creative Hub now?
It's coming up. Yep.
All right, awesome. So we're going to go up here to Create Mockup, and then go here to Video. Again, just put in the name of the page that you're going to be using, just so that you can see what the ad actually looks like. When you actually create the ad, then you're not going to have to do that. You're just going to select from one of your pages. But then as far as actually creating the ad is the pretty easy part. It's the creating the video ahead of time that can be a little bit more difficult. But so you're just going to come here, select video. I'm just going to put one that's already in our library. Otherwise, you can also upload a video right here if it's not one that you've already used in the past. One thing that actually has made a big difference is the thumbnail that you select. So you have these preset thumbnails that you can select from that are just from the video. I don't know how Facebook selects which options they give you for these thumbnails, but we actually did some testing on an ad and the thumbnail made a difference. So I would go through and which of these thumbnails as an image by itself kind of tells a story and makes it intriguing. But you can also just upload a custom image. Now, if you do upload a custom image, I think you're going to want to make it consistent with the video so that it doesn't look like something completely separate. You want to make it consistent. But pick the thumbnail. It does make a difference on what you do. And then you're just going to add the text. Ryan, do we want to go through text again? Or do we want to, we talked about that a few weeks ago.
No, I think we're okay with that. I think the other thing that we need to talk about when it comes to video ad sets is there's some things that you can do once you've actually finalized the ad that you want to pay attention to and make sure that you do is the captioning that's associated with it.
Yes.
So why don't you walk us through that portion of it?
Okay, so down here, great point. Video captions are also hugely important. I don't remember the stats, but I think you might remember this number, Ryan, but there is some insane number of people that watch your video on silent instead of with the sound on. And so if you have the captions, then they can watch your mouth move, they can watch what's going on, but then they can just read the captions. Maybe they're at work, maybe they're in class when they're supposed to be paying attention to somebody else, but they're actually on Facebook watching your video, so they can't have sound. So video captions are extremely important. And so down here, this video already has the captions added, but it will give you an option to add the captions, and it gives you the options of generate automatically, let Facebook review, or upload a file. And I think it's called an SRT file. Generate automatically. So that sounds great, fantastic, but you actually have to edit it afterwards. So what that does is Facebook, with artificial intelligence, it pulls what it thinks the words are, but it doesn't always do a great job. Especially if the video's outside or whatever, then it picks up other stuff. So you go through and you just edit the captions, but it has most of them there. It makes it pretty quick. If your video is less than 3 minutes long, then letting Facebook review them is a good option, because it does take up to 24 hours for Facebook to do that, but then it's all done and you don't have to sit there for, it takes me sometimes up to 20 or 30 minutes to add captions to a 4 or 5 minute video. So it's nice if it's less than 3 minutes to let Facebook do it. And then uploading a file, if your video was exactly scripted and you already had the exact script written out, that's when that would be beneficial. Let me show you what it looks like to edit them. I don't want to edit this one too much because it's already right. So it just pulls up here, Chad here at Majestic Auto Body in Idaho Falls. What you can do is press the play button. And as it plays, then you can just click and start typing, and it'll stop the video for you. You can change that if you type that here. But each spot you just go down, it shows you the time here that caption is going to be on. And that's why it's nice when they generate it automatically, is you just have to edit it. You don't usually have to edit these times, because trying to get those times right is also terrible.
Yeah.
So Facebook generating it automatically, you just have to edit the words. You just listen to the video, type in the right words, and get those captions on. But extremely important to do.
Yeah, they say, Mitch, the numbers, I think it's over 90% of people watch video without audio associated with it.
Yeah. And
especially on a mobile device.
Yeah, and it can capture attention because if, Facebook videos autoplay, as people know. And so if your caption pops up and says something that's very captivating and is like, oh, wow, I got to watch that video, then they'll either keep reading the captions or they will they'll turn on the sound. Most often.
So let's just take a minute here and talk through the different types of video content that can be created, because I know a lot of people think, well, I'm not a video producer. I don't have a really nice DSLR camera. I haven't spent $1,500 on anything, but in general, I like to get my message out there. I just don't quite know how. And I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk last night. He said the biggest problem with most people is they think that there has to be perfection associated with the content they're creating, and most people they don't do anything because of that. And he said in general that you just start somewhere, start documenting something. You're not going to have a videographer that's following you around everywhere, but you need to start documenting your journey, documenting your process. And whether that's from a personal perspective or from a company perspective, there's value in both aspects. So walk us through a little bit more, Brad, and maybe you can chime in here as well. What you are most attracted to when it comes to Facebook ad sets. Is it a professionally put together video? And I want to ask a question of those of you that are on with us today. What is it that you pay most attention to? So we have Jerry, Charity Hatterley, Nick, Lacey, Coulter, Darren, Dave, Pam. What is it that most attracts you to video? Do you pay attention to, non-branded or non-professionally done video content, or is more of it just, it doesn't matter. It's live, it's real, it's authentic. What most attracts you to that, and then walk through that. So Brad, give us some insight from your perspective on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Be happy to. a couple weeks ago, we actually took a little bit of a poll in the industry for people that are actually running a lot of Facebook ads, and said, basically posed that question to them and said, what's working better? What do you see working better? Highly produced, professionally done video, or like iPhone style, quick and easy amateur video? And most of the people said it really doesn't matter. The messaging is what matters far more than anything that, how it's produced or anything like that. And in fact, a lot of people said that the iPhone amateur version kind of video that's just done, that's you in front of the camera, maybe you have an assistant holding the phone in front of you or something to help, but that actually catches more attention because of that authenticity. But I think at the end of the day, the message is what is far more important than how fancy the production is or the lighting or anything like that. Now, I will say, amateur style videos you can watch all day long as the messaging is good. Audio is one thing you'll want to watch out for. We just told you that many people don't watch with the audio on, but if someone does turn that audio on, you want it to sound good, because if it's really poor quality, then people can't stay as long on poor audio as they can on poor video quality, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's a great point. Mitch, what are your insights there?
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. And I think there's a place for both. I think it also has to kind of go along with your product in some regard. If it's a super high end, we'll just say a Lamborghini, for instance, I think a professional video is probably appropriate there. However, if it's let's say a service-based business where they're going to be working one-on-one with you, even if it's a professional service like law or accounting or something like that, they're going to be working one-on-one with you. So that authenticity just with your phone, Facebook Live, little or no editing is very appropriate there because they're going to connect with you that way.
Yeah.
And then I would agree with the audio as well. Just to put that in perspective, then, okay, 90% watch without the audio. But on that video that of our stats that we looked at, then there was 12,000 people that watched 50% of it, right? And so that's still 1,200 people that watched it with the audio. I think it's worth making good audio for 1,200 people in that example.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's the biggest point of differentiation is when you have, you may not have the perfect video context, but there's a reason why a lot of people you see on Facebook Live have their headset connected into their phone, because the audio feed is that much more effective and much more efficient. So what's really cool with your phones now, especially iPhone, I think 6 Plus and higher, you now have the ability to record in 4K as well. So you have the same capability through a video-based recording on your phone as some of the higher end cameras. Now, that doesn't mean you're a professional by any means. As a matter of fact, we've created a partnership with a video production company because we understand the value in high quality video production associated with some brands. But if you're just getting yourself started and you're trying to get your brand out there, get brand recognized, get your name out there, some authentic real video is a good place to start. It's a good place to start, but there's a place for both. And that's one thing that I wanted to clarify is there's a place for high quality video. And there's also a place for some of the lower quality video that you might be running through a Facebook Live event or things of that nature. As a matter of fact, I just did a video recording of a home this morning, and I had a professional videographer there. I had, the gal that was walking through this home had a mic on, and so that we could capture some of the best audio as well as some of the best footage, some of the B-roll that was associated with that, and so on. So just recognize that you can tell a really unique story through the power of quality-based video. And if you have a higher-end ticket item and you're having a hard time selling your higher-end ticket item, maybe create some video content around that item so people have the chance to experience it. We're moving into a world where so many more people want to create an experiential event more than they ever have. As a matter of fact, I was talking with one of our clients who's in the Medicare space, and she was reading some statistics or she was doing a class specifically on the 64 plus year old age demo. And these are people that, graduated or that kind of went through the whole Woodstock era. They love music. They love being outside. And what she was saying to me is that there are more people in that age demographic that are going to concerts now because they like the environment. They love the connection that they have to the environment. And I've often heard people talk and debate about, whether or not live events are going to be going away. And I've even in the past said some things where I thought that, creating a virtual digital environment might be more effective than an actual live environment. But I'm changing my thoughts and changing my ways because I think creating that experience for people in general will always be more effective than the opposite side. So, Mitch, tell us a little bit more. Just from we talked through some of the ads, we talked through some of the statistics. Why don't you do a comparison? We've talked through these numbers before of, what percent are we seeing a higher call to action or people taking action rate on video-based ads versus image-based ads? Or now that we've gone through some of the image-based stuff, the carousel ads and now the video-based ads, what are you seeing as far as statistics are concerned when you run the reports for our company?
Yeah, so let's take this as a perfect example. Hopefully, I didn't have this pulled up ahead of time. But let's look at this one. So this was all images, and we'll have to pull up the stats here in a minute. And this one is all videos. So if we come into the ad sets and set whenever you're looking at stats, this is just a no as I'm doing it. Make sure you set your dates appropriately for what you want to look at. I don't know how many times that we've looked at stats and we're like, that does not seem right. And it was just because the date was wrong. Anyway, so this ad set here, boosted posts, is all image based. And so let's turn the stats to engagement, because these were all engagement. It wasn't necessarily, what am I trying to say? It wasn't necessarily a call to action. There wasn't a link for people to click, but we see similar stats when we have links. So boosted posts, we have 60 people taking action. And that was for an entire month, I believe, and $200 was spent. Now, if we combine these videos were all in 1 month, then we have 1190, 571, 2981. So that adds up. The video adds up to 3384 of this 3444, and 60 are from the other stuff. There was also, let's check on the money that was spent on these, because I believe less money has been spent on the videos. So 116 of that was spent on image-based out of a total of 175. So that leaves, what is that? I'm doing all this math in my head. 60 for what was spent on video and 116 spent on images. But we got so much more engagement, so much more reaction, so many more page likes. Everything, all of the goals that we were trying to accomplish with these ads just happened better with that $60 spent on video versus 116 spent on images.
And that wasn't, Mitch, just as a reminder, that was just a video of an iPhone that was up above, and the gentleman, the accountant in this case, was just talking into the camera, right?
Yeah. Accounting too. I mean, it's boring. And so that goes to show you even more the power of video. So yeah, I mean, and we're also only looking at the paid exposure of that video. There was also additional organic exposure of that video that just the organic part was better than the image based in that case. And we see that pretty similar, I would say, across 95% of stuff that we compare. There is 5% that images do better. And I'm always like, whoa, that's weird. And But that's usually what we see, is that video is by far more effective.
So just a thought that I had, we're talking about video production. We're talking about what's the best way to do it. Here's just a thought that I had. When you're trying to tell a story, that, in my opinion, is really where you need professional videography done. When you're trying to share an experience, that's where Facebook Live events really come to light. Because you can capture a lot of different footage in the context of a day with a videographer and then put it all together to really tell a story. It's really hard to capture all of those moments, if you will, through a Facebook Live video, just one instantaneous one. And that's why interestingly enough, there's a lot of people that are utilizing Facebook Stories or My Stories on Facebook now. Same thing as My Stories on Instagram and Snapchat. So the reason why people are using that a lot more efficiently is to try to capture those instantaneous moments. But if you want to tell a long story, like about the brand of your company, I highly recommend doing professionally put together video content that can capture some of the audio, can capture some of the sound, the music behind it, can capture some of the B-roll that would be associated with it, and really telling and articulating the story. So that's where I would best guess. If you're thinking for your company, I need to figure out how to best tell my story of who we are and what we're trying to represent, then I would highly suggest doing some professional video. But if you just want to jump on and share something you learned or share an experience with people in the context of Facebook Live, don't hesitate to do that. And like I said, I think there's a place for both. I think as you create the followership through your sharing experiences, then you'll get to a point where you need some professionally put together video content. And that'll solidify and validate who you are and what you're doing and how you're doing that. So thanks, guys, for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you next week.